Ethereum to $10,000? Well, maybe, just maybe, because it looks like the SEC is going to be approving a spot Ethereum ETF later this year. Some information just dropped. I wanted to share it with you to talk about how Ethereum could possibly hit 10K this year and when that's going to happen, and also how the altcoin markets are going to react. So let's get into it right now. What we've got here is the SEC, according to the block, the SEC is likely to approve a spot Ethereum ETF on May 23rd, according to Standard Chartered Bank. Standard Chartered does not actually have an ETF listed. So Securities and Exchange Commission expected to follow the strategy employed in improving spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds for spot Ethereum ETFs with rejections and ultimately granting approval on the initial final deadline of May 23rd, according to Standard Charter. We expect pending applications for the ETH US spot ETFs to be approved on May 23rd, the final deadline for the first ETFs under consideration. He also said Grayscale also has an ETH trust that it wants to turn into an ETF. This is big. I'm going to get to that in a second. So denial of that application would likely lead to another appeal by Grayscale. He said, we see no fundamental reason for the SEC to view ETFs differently than the CME already does. So again, this is really super duper bullish. Whether you're an ETH maxi or you're an ETH hater or you're kind of meh on ETH, this spells good things for crypto this year. Now, why is that? Well, number one, here's the players, okay? So you've got Van Eck, you got ARC21 shares, Hashdex, Grayscale, a lot more on that in a second. Conversion would be a big deal. Invesco Galaxy Ethereum ETF, iShares, that's BlackRock, Ethereum Trust, and the Fidelity Ethereum Fund. Most of these would be listed on the CBOE, few on NASDAQ, one on the New York Stock Exchange. Grayscale would be on the New York Stock Exchange. That'd be kind of cool. Most of these are going to be custodianed by Coinbase. That would be interesting if Gemini actually got a custodianship. That would be a big deal. These deadlines most of these have already passed. SEC final deadline, most of these are in May. So if one of them gets approved, they'll pretty much all follow suit. They kind of do them in chunks, just like they did with the Bitcoin ETF. The real mover here is going to be the sheer amount of liquidity that would flood into Ethereum as the ETF came online. So I think this is going to be another buy the rumor, sell the news event, similar to Bitcoin, but a little bit different just because there's so much DeFi built around Ethereum. Just because there's so much liquidity wrapped up in Ethereum DeFi right now, big players, institutional money and whales that have so much money in Ethereum DeFi, I think the adoption of this ETF and the purchase of this ETF will happen faster than the Bitcoin ETF. So let's get into that. Here's why I'm saying that. You've got Grayscale. This is such a big dog, okay? This thing has been around for a while. Grayscale has a ton of money in this trust. This is the Grayscale Ethereum Trust, okay? One of the first securities solely invested and deriving value from the price of Ethereum that enables investors to gain exposure to ETH in the form of a security while avoiding the challenges of buying, storing, and safekeeping ETH directly. So this is a futures fund, a futures trust, okay? They're betting on the future price of Ethereum. Yeah, so it's been around since 2017. Here's the big thing, okay? $7 billion would be converted for that Ethereum ETF, okay? So what does that mean? It means $7 billion if they want to convert this trust into a spot ETF, which is what they want to do. It's here in the convert, right? There would be a conversion. $7 billion worth of Ethereum would need to be acquired in order for this to go live, okay? That's my understanding of how this is going to work, and I believe they're already doing that. So, and I'll tip my hat on how I know that in the future here. So either way, a lot of liquidity is going to come in just from the Grayscale ETF alone. You also have this one, the ETH, Ether Strategy ETF from ProShares, another futures traded fund. This one from Van Eck, also a futures product, only about $20 million in net assets right now. Expect that to change. But I looked over here on justetf.com, and it has a listing of a whole bunch of futures Ethereum ETFs that are currently, interestingly enough, accumulating. Okay, they're all accumulating ETH in an expectation for this spot ETF to be approved. This one is the most striking. Fund size in euros, 296 million. in just the 21 shares Ethereum staking ETP, exchange traded product. I assume that even if a portion of this gets converted or some of these people want exposure to the spot ETF, this is a nice juicy number in the millions, which would catapult Ethereum to an extreme amount of volatility to the upside. So there's so many big whales accumulating right now, and they will continue to do so as the ETFs come on board. Now, will it happen in May? That's kind of the question. I don't know why it wouldn't happen in May. Again, this is conjecture. Everyone's just kind of taking guesses because the only people who know are the people at the SEC, and it will have to be voted on by them. But again, like what the folks at the block were saying, they're kind of taking the cue from the CFTC because the CFTC has already called Ethereum a commodity. So, and then they've already done a Bitcoin one. And the whole thing with ETHgate, I think it's just going to pan out to where they're just going to kind of shrug their shoulders. Gary Gensler may not even be in power at that point, but we'll see. I'm expecting it to happen this year, but I don't expect there to be a gigantic run up in price afterwards. I'm assuming that we're going to get close to, here's how I think this is going to play out. I think as May gets closer, we're going to start running up more and more closer to a new Ethereum, to the previous all-time high of Ethereum. And then this is going to be a sell the news event where Ethereum will immediately drop because, again, just like we saw with the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, they were selling off all their Bitcoin to purchase Bitcoin. So they're going to be selling off a bunch of Ethereum to purchase Ethereum. But what's going to happen here is the knock-on effects. Everyone's going to get butthurt, right? That's what's going to happen when this happens. There's going to be an announcement. Hopefully there won't be any hacking around it, but there will be an announcement. There will be euphoria, and then there will be a price dump. And there will continue to be a price dump as these trusts convert into funds. There will be a ton of volatility. Don't try to leverage trade. Don't do any of that stuff. Just sit back, and because you've already sold the news, you've sold ahead of time, like the beginning of May, you've taken some profits. Get ready to accumulate some more ETH. Also, there will be big knock-on effects as kind of the road opens up and people get more and more comfortable with buying spot Ethereum. The knock-on effects for DeFi is going to be massive. So I expect Lido, Maker, Aave, Uniswap, Rocket Pool, all of these DeFi projects to start seeing basically RWA versions, like synthetic versions of these ETFs being traded on here, and a whole bunch of other new products as liquidity just comes shooting back into Ethereum DeFi. I see this being a huge boost for DeFi instead of sucking liquidity out of DeFi. I think people want the exposure and the returns that you get in DeFi, but now institutions are able to shoot in more of the money into just regular old Ethereum. So you're going to see the prices of ETH going up, which will again have a knock-on effect towards these other protocols and other layer twos. We're getting that in a second. So here's how ETH has been behaving. Again, for the year, it's been up. We were around 1,500 back in October. So there's been a nice run up as people have been talking more and more about this ETF. We're probably going to continue to chop here sideways for a little bit with more momentum building as we get closer and closer to May. Now let's look at Polygon, the 1 year on Polygon. This is like the premier layer 2. There's already a ton of bullish stuff about Polygon happening. This is the premier layer 2 for Ethereum. I think this is going to break out of this channel and get more towards that. Get more towards that $1 thing. Get really comfortable around $1, and then it'll shoot up, and it'll definitely be testing, I think, all-time highs. Previous all-time highs this year. Optimism is going to see a big boost. Let's see, where is it for the year? Yeah, so it's nice. It's seen a nice big little run up, getting comfortable around $3. Chop sideways again. So ETH will probably go up another 2,000. Its all-time high was what, 4,600? Let's see here. All-time high, 48.91. So we're going to get close to that. So it's a 2x, okay? Basically a 2x, a little bit more than 2x from here. So expect, if ETH is going to 2x, expect Polygon to 2x its 2x. So like a 4 or a 6. Same thing for OP. So OP, it's $3 right now. Probably $12 OP. Arbitrum, yeah, probably like $8 Arbitrum. Even stuff like Uniswap, I see going to like $20 up into the run up. And there's going to be the sell off. But We're going to see a $20 floor for Uniswap, something like that, maybe even $15 as this bull run really starts. So $20 is going to be like the new normal for Uniswap. Where did it peak out at last time? $44. Oh yeah, that's totally in the chips. So you can see that right there. $44 is the previous all-time high. We're still well off of that. So for Uniswap, Arbitrum, its all-time high is quite low, $1.94. It just touched it recently. So I'm seeing that there's going to be a slingshot effect as we go upwards and the Ethereum ETF gets approved and more institutional money starts coming into ETH and the entire ETH ecosystem. All the ETH whales start going crazy and start going gaga with their decentralized finance as the price of Ethereum heads back towards its previous all-time high. So that's really kind of setting the stage for the rest of this bull run where things have come back up to their, or are touching their previous all-time high, setting up for that next parabolic move upwards. So ETH to 10K. That's the next question. So here's what I'm going to say for ETH to 10K. I'm going to say for ETH to 10K to happen. Let's see here. All right. I want to open up TradingView for a second. TradingView. Okay. So with all that institutional money coming in, all these Ethereum whales looking at a retest of the previous all-time high, I'm bullish on the possibility of there being a 10K Ethereum this year. Here's how I think it's going to plan out. I've drawn some lines. Okay. So here we are. We've been moving nice up and to the right ever since the bull market has started in earnest late last year. We're doing a little bit of retest here of support, building nice support. I think we're going to have continued build up to a sell the news event in May, around May, and then we will slide back down as one does, as the Ethereum is changing hands from the trusts to the funds, and then we will start moving up very rapidly as the year unfolds. Now, I think there will be some segments in here of sideways action. It's going to look like stairs, okay? It's just the way these bull markets run. They kind of stair step up. Now, around here is where I'm expecting there to be a fair amount of sideways chop, okay? There's could be a little bit of overlap right here. I'm expecting a fair amount of sideways chop just because what happens around here, the presidential election for the United States. So markets like to know where things are going, and there's going to be more and more uncertainty as we get closer and closer to the election. Now, after the election, and once things are settled, especially if it's a decisive election, then I could see a big leg up right at the end of the year, okay, where we're pushing towards $10,000, see a couple scam wicks up there. We'll probably have a nice heavy correction down to the previous all-time high or close to it, the old all-time high in the beginning of next year as Bitcoin starts to near its all-time high or new all-time high, and then we're off to the races. So that's kind of how I'm seeing it playing out. Let's zoom way in. Okay, so moving on up, buy the rumor, sell the news, up and to the right, chop throughout the summer into fall. Things get dicey the closer we get to the election, and then we rip up at the end of the year in December as things with the election settle out the markets and people are looking more and more hopeful. That's where I'm looking for Ethereum to go. It's very bullish, all this institutional money. I'm more bullish on the Ethereum DeFi than I am on the actual Ethereum token itself, but incredible upside potential here. Pack your bags, get ready, make smart moves. Comment below on the next project that you want me to look at. I think there's going to be Chainlink ETF and possibly a Solana ETF coming up soon. Tell me what other DeFi projects you think are going to be moving upwards along with Polygon, Optimism, and Arbitrum and Uniswap. Comment that, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate all you guys for hanging out here in the blockchain basement. See you next time.